Alright, before I even start this, I wanted to say that I taught myself. So I have basic knowledge on how to do it. Like, I know how to do the basics, but I don't exactly know all the terms and stuff. But, yeah, I just taught myself how to knit and crochet, so. And these are the first knitting needles that I ever learned how to, and they still work great. And I'm gonna just kind of show you the basic, I think it's called garter stitch. I'm just gonna make a basic, like, square thing for you to just kind of get going. The first thing I learned how to make was just, like, a scarf, because I didn't know how to finish my project, so it just kind of kept getting longer and longer, but it's only like a foot long, so. But, that was the first thing I learned how to make and taught myself. It originally was for my sister. She wanted to learn how to do it, but she couldn't figure it out. It just kept falling apart. So I learned how, and I ended up really enjoying it. So the first thing is, no, you don't need to have an obnoxiously sized ball. This is just what I have at the moment. But just kind of take your yarn and flip it around like that. Pull it through and it makes slip knot. This is an obnoxious amount of yarn. I'll do it again. You just kind of twist it around and pull it through, and it just makes a slip knot. And then put it on. And you want to count how many they're called stitches, or at least I call them stitches, how many loops you want on the needle, because that's going to be how big or how wide across what you're making is going to be. So to do that, you just kind of flip it around and twist it and tie it tight, and go until you have as many as you want on there. And that's 20, so I'm just going to do it small. And then that's first step. That's how you start. I learned how to start it a different way, but this way works a lot better for me. It's a lot faster and a lot easier. And the first thing you do for the first actual knit stitch, you put your second needle through like that, through the first or the last loop on the needle, wrap it around, pull it through, and I know it's terrifying. You pull it off. You pull the first thing off the needle in your left hand, or whichever hand you're using. If you're left-handed, you can do it the opposite way. Whichever way is more comfortable. And then you do the same thing to the next one, and then all the way across. Just keep doing the same thing over and over again until you reach the end. Okay. Once you make it to the end, it should look somewhat like this. If you have thinner yarn, it'll obviously be thinner. If you have thicker yarn, it'll obviously be thicker, but then you'll need different size needles and all that stuff, so we're not going to get into that. After that, I don't really know how to weave this in. I just kind of do whatever works. But you just kind of do the same thing you did to start the other row. Just do that, and then I do this, just kind of flip the tail or whatever it's called over through the middle of them, and then you move to the next one, and then flip it over again, and then on this one, just to give it more, I hold them both together, and knit. I know how to crochet too. You knit the string that you're using that's attached to the ball and the end of the tail thing. I hold them together and then do 2 or 3 just to secure it, kind of. And then I flip it through again. and then do that a couple more times. Like, I don't go all the way to the end, I just kind of go back and forth a couple of times, just to kind of make sure that it's gone through. And I end with it on this side, the back side, the end that's facing away from me. I end with it back there, so when I come back, it'll be, I'll show you again. So I'm going to finish this row, then I'll be right back. Okay, row finished, like that. The tail is now kind of towards the middle. And then I'm going to go back to where the tail is, so again, be right back. Okay, I'm back to where the tail is, like, it's right here. Flip it over through the middle. It'll be on top of the center again. And just crochet. Why do I keep saying crochet? I'm knitting. You go over it like that, and then flip it through again, knit over it, flip it through again, and this time I'm going to do I'll twist it, I'm going to do the two together, hold it together, just to, again, get it through, and then put it over. I'm not holding it together this time because I have the two, but you can see how when I held it together, now there's the two on the hook, or again, it's a needle. I'm working on another project that's crocheting, that's why I keep saying this. But there are two now on the needle, so you want to go through both of them. That way you'll have the same amount of loops on the needle instead of like doubling up and adding more to keep it the same size, if that makes sense. So you go through both of them of where you held the two yarn strings together, and just reach the end and switch hands of the needle and go again, and then you just keep going. I at least just keep going like that until I have like about a ½ inch of the tail left that's sticking out, and then I just kind of pull that tight and finish it or cut it off, whichever one I'm feeling like. Like if it's coming out the end, like if it makes it all the way back over here to the edge of the project, I'll just like cut it. Or leave it. Sometimes I can weave it in more, but most of the time I just cut it because it's not. It's all woven in. It's like it's gonna hold. So it's at the point of just being annoying. It's also what I use to tell which end I started on of my project, like which end is the first row, to count to see how big it is or how many more rows I need to do to go through. Yeah, just like after this, after I go back to the other end where I started, like the first, like this end where the tail was at the beginning, once I make it back there, that should be 6 rows, I think, total so far. I honestly don't know. I lose count. I just go until it makes the right size. Like, for me, it's usually, if I have, like I do now, 20 stitches on the needle, it'll be, to get a square, it'll usually be about 28 full, like, bumps, or whatever they're called. It'll be 28 of these, which it'll be double that in times back and forth. So that's how I do it anyway. Again, I don't know if that's right. If you mess up like I just did, you just put it back through. Like, see how it's like that? You just put it back through and pull it off, and then go back as far as you need to. So that's what you do if you mess up. You just go back. Again, I know I'm like going fast, but I just kind of wanted to show the basic of how you get started. And yeah, and hopefully like you can get started, because I taught myself and I don't know exactly what I'm doing. I just know it works and it turns out correctly for the most part, so That's all I do. And then this one, I'm just going to go back and forth with this because that's not going to make it, just to try and get it to the edge. Because that's kind of like my starting side marker. I don't use any of the, like, row markers or any pins or anything like that to keep track. I just kind of use my memory. Alright, right here, that's going to be the last that I'm going to be using that. It's just going to live there from now on. And, yeah. Alright, so that is now. So I flip it to face me, so that way you see how the little, like, nub thingies, the bumps are on this side, and this side is flat. This is how I count how many rows that I did. So so I have 6. I've done 6. Because I have this one, which is 2, and then 4, and then 6 at the end of this. That'll be a total. Because you want to end on this side, so that way it'll match up at the end, so it won't be uneven. So, yeah. I've technically done 5, but at the end of this, it'll be 6. So, and then back. You know what I mean, I hope. Yeah, you can kind of see, like, where it's thicker is where the extra string was from weaving it in, but it blends in after a while, and you won't even notice it. But yeah, I'm going to now finish this real quick, and then I'll show you how to cast off, but I'll be right back. Let me finish this. Now that that's done, it took about 15 minutes. But again, I've been doing it for a while, so it might take you longer, it might take you shorter, I don't know. That's just how long it takes me. But I counted, and this is what size it makes for square for me. 20 stitches on the needle itself, and then I did 18 of, including this row up here. I include this, the one that's still on the hook, or dang it, I'm not crocheting, I am knitting. I include the one that's still on the needle. and I did 18 of these rows, which is obviously doubled back and forth, but I count one row as being, one back and forth. So I did 18, that for me makes a square. And now it's just time to end. But you end, like, with this on the same side, like, so where you started, where the tail is on that side, you end, make sure the end, or your last row is going to be on the same side. So it's like this. If I don't know how to explain it better, but that's about as best I can do. And then to finish it, it's basically the same as starting, kind of, but you take this and knit like you have been the whole time. Just do one, and then two, like that, so you have two on the hook or on the needle that you're working with, and then you take the first one, right, the one that went on first, and you take it over the one that you just put on, like that, and then it kind of attaches it so it won't fall off. And then you take the next stitch that's on the one with all of them and do like a normal knit, like you've been doing the whole time, and then take the one that's furthest down on the other needle and flip it over the one you just put on. Same thing, normal stitch, and take it over. And then you just do that all the way across until you reach the last one. And then I'll show you what to do with that one, because that one's fairly easy. You just basically knot it. Finishing or ending this part was the hardest thing for me to learn, because I was terrified to just take it over. See? Sometimes that happens. You just go back there. But I was terrified to take it over. I also learned to make sure to have, like, a lot, not like a lot, but like enough, so like you have a little bit extra so the yarn isn't like tight around the needle. Otherwise the ending row is going to be very, very tight and it will not stretch. And that is not the best. Like, I learned that after making it tight too many times. Like, it'll still work, it just won't stretch like it probably should, or like you would want it to. It won't be quite as soft. Alright, get to the last one, do the same thing. You have two on here, and none on this one, two on here. Just flip it over like you did all the rest. And then this is the most terrifying part. You pull it through so you got a big loop, right? And take your needle out. And scissors, cut the yarn, and then it's done. Go through, knot it. And I like to go through it like a couple of times just to make sure that it's really, really knotted. Because I'm paranoid like that. But I kind of do this just to get it like super knotted, and I don't know what that's called. Just kind of really twist it around and then just pull it tight. And then I need to go grab a embroidery needle and weave this in, and then it'll be done. I'll be right back. I always lose these things, so I like to keep them in with all of my other knitting needles and crochet hooks in a hair tie rubber band thing, because I lose them any other way. But so basically you can't have enough of these. I always lose them. Okay, so after you get that, just like threading a needle but with thicker thread, pull it through and you start just kind of weaving it in. Again, I don't know exactly how to do this, but I do the best I can. You just kind of follow the pattern of the yarn. Like you see, it's just kind of following the yarn. You go up and down, and you just kind of follow it back and forth until you're satisfied, and then with how secure it is, and then you just kind of cut it off, and it's done. But let me weave this in, be right back. I actually had enough to go all the way across, so I'm gonna knot it again and then I'll cut it off, because why not? Again, I'm paranoid about it coming undone, so I add a lot of knots, because that's what happened when I was learning. Alright, now that's knotted. Take that off, and then just cut it as close as you can. Same with this guy down at the bottom. The original beginning. Cut it, and then just kind of pull it, and it's done. That's all you have to do. I know that's basic, and my instructions aren't the best, but I hope they're enough to, like, get you started on it, and, it is gonna take a while, and you're gonna get very frustrated and throw the needles and throw the yarn across the room and take it apart and have it fall apart and have to redo it. That's what I did 1,000 times. You'll get very angry. But once you get it, it's very enjoyable and very relaxing thing to do. Again, I don't know how to do it super professionally, or how to do all the stitch types, or I don't know how to do much. I know how to read the basics of a pattern, and make it look nice and all that, but I don't know how to do all the fancy stuff. But I still enjoy it, and just because I don't know how to do everything about it doesn't mean I can't enjoy what I know how to. Yeah, I hope this helps get you started, and you enjoyed watching it, and hopefully my instructions weren't too confusing, because I know I can be very confusing with myself. But yeah, I hope that helps. Oh, one more thing. I'm gonna go grab... I have blankets and stuff on my bed, but those are difficult to get out. If you make a ton of squares and stuff when you're learning what you can turn it into. I'll be right back. Alright, this thing is huge and very heavy, so I don't know how I'm gonna show it to you all the way. Maybe like this. Like, it is gigantic. It fits on my bed. Yeah. That's not even all of it. It's huge. But that I made because I was technically still learning how to make it properly and finish and all that stuff, and I wanted a really big blanket. I have another big one on my bed that's like rainbow. You can see it in my bed painting video if you wanted to see it, because it's on there. And then I also have another one on my bed, and I have a few crocheted ones, but this one was the easiest to grab, because I do have a blanket problem. But point is, if you make a ton of those, just sew them all together, and you will have a very nice blanket. And it's a good thing to do when you're learning, because those things take seriously like 15-20 minutes to make once you get the hang of it. And then you sew them all together, and then blanket. Or whatever you want, but I like to use blankets because I'm cold a lot. So yeah, I hope that helps you get started. I hope my instructions weren't too confusing, again, because I confuse myself. Like, I'm pretty sure I have the numbers and stuff messed up at the beginning of the video, which, sorry about that, I'm not very good at math, or, because I'm used to doing bigger squares like on that blanket. But if it was correct, then yay me. But yeah, I hope that gets you started, and you have fun with it, even if it's not, like, perfect the first time around. If you end up throwing your yarn across the room, or your knitting needle across the room, I hope you still have fun with it, and, yeah, just have fun. So, thanks for watching. Bye!